Good evening and welcome to the Hoosier Huddle after the dust settles. We have waited an extra 24 hours for this super dust storm to settle, but in reality, it was a long, lonely 9.5 hour drive back from Nebraska. Not only did IU lose, Eric Judge was not pitched to by Baltimore pitching. Anyway, Alex, Indiana comes out with a loss at Nebraska, a game that was hugely important to the season. One of the major swing games of the year. They lose 35-21 in a, you kind of forget that it's 21-21 for, the majority of the second half. But a disheartening loss to a Nebraska team where it looked like IU, one big play here or there could have put them away and walked out of there with a win.
Yeah, pretty deflating. We talked about it all week, and we talked about it the first half of the season, or first quarter of the season. Really a swing game for the program. So, you wanted to see a better effort against the Nebraska program, kind of reeling right now, obviously evaluating kind of the entire roster, the entire coaching staff, their entire setup, but, needed a better effort. Another slow start kind of doomed IU. But there were some things we'll talk about, that happened in that second half that just can't happen, and other things during the game. But, we've been talking about, for 5 games now, wanting to see more consistent effort, better efforts, and 2 weeks in a row now, kind of searching for that. So a lot of good, again, a lot of things I really like that I'll get into, a lot of things that, again, 5 weeks into the season now in a pivotal season, and they all are. They're all big seasons. Every game's a big game, but 5 games in now, a lot of the same issues are kind of popping up from last year and then this season so far. But yeah, tough loss. I think the mood in the building today was a little bit more of I don't want to say on edge or anxious. I don't know if those are the right words or phrases for it, but there was I would say a little more sense of urgency, or a little more we're 3-2 kind of energy in the building today. But yeah, I don't know, Sammy. I guess I'll get right into it. I saw something say PFF College, Anthony Grant, Nebraska's running back, who's a good player, transferred in from a JUCO. I think he was the top JUCO player in the country last year, recruit-wise. Led the country in forced tackles on Saturday, or missed tackles on Saturday. Ran for over 100 yards. I don't know. What were your overall thoughts on the defense, I guess, first?
I mean, outside of the first drive of the first half, I thought they played well until they got beat over the top. They accounted for IU's first touchdown. They Nebraska's other touchdown came on a pump block, which can't happen. But I thought they played pretty well up until that 71-yard pass. Nebraska controlled field position for the entire second half. And that killed it. But all IU needed was one big play, and you thought that game was done. But I thought they had knocked out Casey Thompson. He took a hard hit. Credit to him for coming back. I thought he was done, and things like that. But outside of Anthony Grant, and look, he had 136 yards on 32 carries. So it's not like he was running wild. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry with a long of 17. They finished with a 2.3 yard per carry, as they, IU's defense had 4 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss. So and got 2 takeaways.
A touchdown. Yeah, and a touchdown.
Yeah, and a touchdown. So they did a lot of good things, but what they couldn't do, they got burnt on the first drive with 2 34-yard passes, which, look, Nebraska took 2 weeks to scheme that up, and after that they fixed it. and then the 71-yard pass to Trey Palmer, the backbreaker. It's that can't happen. That just absolutely why Philip Dunham is in the game there is beyond me. I don't care if he's the freshest. I don't. You need to Monster and Brian Fitzgerald were playing really well, and they've been in these games. They've won these games late, and things like that. They were on that team that won at Nebraska in 2019. They've been in these situations. I would feel a little bit better if they were back there and got beat than Philip Dunham, who takes 4 or 5 steps forward. And look, he might be a good player down the road, but you can't have a
He
true
had some
freshman
nice
in that.
plays, yeah, but
Yeah.
still, yes. Yeah, a point
You
stands.
can't,
And then you're
I'd rather get
busting
beat with
in,
my best players.
Yeah, and Chad Wilt today, the defensive coordinator, talked about wanting to have the best guys out there more, and sometimes that means the freshest guys. I mean, IU has too many 4th and 5th year players for them to not be in Big Ten shape. And this is week 5. This is the 5th week of the season. Again, a huge swing game.
And it's not like Nebraska ran 110 plays and they're gassed. Nebraska ran 78 plays.
Mm-hmm.
And look, IU only held the ball for 24 minutes, but a lot of that, time came off the last 3 minutes of the game and things like that. There's no excuses to why, unless somebody was injured, and they weren't. Brian Fitzgerald and Devin Matthews weren't on the back end of that. Now I get Josh Sanguinetti was hurt, and Bryson Bonds were out, but that's not. It shouldn't be a Bryson Bonds snap. It should be a Monster Matthews or Brian Fitzgerald snap. It just
or
makes
John
no
Haynes.
sense.
John Haynes has been your passing safety.
But he's been banged up. I don't think he played on Saturday.
He was out there a little bit. For me, it comes down to, on the defense, another double-digit tackle game for Cam Jones. I think at this point, if he stays healthy, knock on wood, I think he's an all Big Ten linebacker. Aaron Casey might be also at this point. But for me, it comes down to, 3rd down on both sides of the ball. Nebraska was 7 for 16. Indiana was 2 for 15 on 3rd down. 2 for 15 on 3rd down. IU was average distance on 3rd down for IU was 7.6 yards. Nebraska was 8.8 yards average distance. They converted 44% of their 3rd downs. IU was 0 for 4 on 3rd down. Between 3rd and 1 and 4, they were 0 for 4. So again, we've talked about it all season. The short yardage stuff has just not. It hasn't been there. It's been non-existent, and I know there's a lot of offensive line issues. We can beat that into the ground at this point. It's a super dead horse. Just please stop beating it. But it's very frustrating that the little things that are supposed to be almost gimmies in a college football game are still not gimmies. This is an offense that
they had
clearly missed Cam Camper and DJ Matthews. There's no question about that. They had one quarter where they gained over 100 yards on Saturday. The other 3 quarters, they did not get 100 yards. I think 2 of them were less than 30 yards. Let me look real quick.
They had 4th quarter was 5 total yards. 3rd quarter was 66. 1st quarter was 27. And they had 192.
Yeah.
You knew you were in trouble a little bit when Cam Camper, it was announced that Cam Camper wasn't playing with the non-COVID related illness. Hopefully he's back for Michigan. And
do we want him to play? Well, I guess we'll get into next week at the end, but I'm not sure I even want Cam Camper to play on Saturday.
I guess.
Which sucks. We're punting another home Big Ten game, but I feel like at this point you got to just keep everybody healthy, because it's not one of your, the remaining 7. I don't think this is one you have a real shot in, but I don't know.
No, and it sucks because it's homecoming too, and we'll get into that, and we'll talk about that. But let's go to the offense in the Nebraska game. They start off the game, they come out, have to call a timeout before they run a play. Asked Connor Bazelak about it after the game. He said there was miscommunication, crowd noise played a factor into it, and things like that. Asked Tom Allen the same question. He said it wasn't the crowd noise. The clock starts when, as soon as the ball touchback happens, and we got to be better at that. Either way, it's an inexcusable way to start the game. It shows that this organization, the staff, which is, what really makes me mad is you're proving a lot of people right who I don't want. You don't like, they're just gonna rub it in your face, but it's you can't start the game like that.
And then another a quick 3 and out without even doing anything. 2 incompletions and I think a 0-yard run. So you didn't even move the ball.
I think it was 30 seconds. One incompletion and 2 runs. Let's go to that drive real quick. The opening drive for IU. Sean Shivers run, incomplete pass.
Yeah.
And, I think it's time to get Shivers out of that running back 1 spot. Josh Henderson seems to be a much better back at hitting the hole and getting there. He's much more decisive. He's quicker to get up to full speed. Now, there's a role for Shivers on this team. He did score a touchdown down at the goal line. He had 2 scores against Cincinnati. He had a big run against them as well. There's a role for him, but I think that in order to get your team rolling, it needs to be Josh Henderson. And for the love of God, can we get Jalen Lucas on the field? That drive, he sparked that drive. He touched the ball 3 times on that drive, got 39 yards, did not touch the ball the rest of the game. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's clearly different.
It's frustrating. So for me, he's, not just because of like the similar size, but, he's probably our biggest, make a guy miss an open field player since maybe Shane Wynn. And Kevin Wilson just fed him the ball in a bunch of different ways until the other team said, that's it. He's not beating us anymore. Indiana at this point, with how the offense is so up and down right now, they have to get guys like that the ball and make a team adjust. IU right now is not in a position where they can say, oh, well, we're going to come back to it because we know we're going to be able to move the ball in, 4 or 5 different ways, or we have 4 or 5 concepts that are really working. No. You can't do it. Walt Bell talked about, and they talked about it on the broadcast a bunch because I wasn't out in Lincoln, but, Walt Bell wanted to use the first quarter to kind of feel out the defense and, see where the holes were and the schemes were. Use your best plays as early as you have to. You got to start better. You have to stop playing from behind, and you got to establish some momentum and some good drives early in the game. But again, though, good comeback, good fight, punt block inexcusable, but the offense right now has a ton of issues. I don't know. Another Bazelak had another pick, tough pick, I guess. Missed some throws again, hit some nice balls, a couple nice back shoulder balls. But there's not much time for him. I liked the screen passes to Henderson. Both of those passes were really nice. I like those kind of calls. Barner, should have had 4 catches. That one on the sideline was kind of crap.
Yeah.
I don't know. A guy like Lucas that clearly has shown already, and the limited touches he's gotten, he's ready to get the ball. And they talked today about how he knows the playbook really well already. You gotta get him the ball. You gotta
put
try
put him in the slot, because I think the reason that they haven't played him, they said, was that they don't substitute that much, and he's not a pass protecting block or a blocker because of his size.
Our offensive line isn't a pass protecting line either. So you got to get the best guys on the field that are going to be able to get the ball in their hands quickly and make someone miss. My thing with Shivers, he's shown he's elite when he gets to the second level, he's not going to be able to get to the second level this season, which is, a huge bummer. We were watching, I think it was Martha the Mop Lady had a clip of an old like all-American offensive lineman clip that was floating around that had Spriggs and Feeney. That was a really good offensive line. You had Dimitri Camille and like Wes Martin in there too at times. But, the amount of holes like guys like Redding had, just those aren't going to exist for Shivers. And I think Shivers could have, multiple runs of 30 plus yards, but it's going to be tough for him to get to that second level. And I don't really think it's his fault, obviously, but you gotta scheme some things up to get your best guys, your shiftiest guys the ball right now, because I don't know what else really you can do on offense.
Yeah, and put him in the slot, do something. I want to talk about Connor Bazelak next because I'm just about done with Connor Bazelak. He was 22 of 44 for 223 yards, a touchdown, and a real hard luck interception where Javon Swinton, I think it looks like he gets knocked unconscious and loses grip of the ball, and Nebraska just grabs it before he hits the ground. So that one's not on. Well, it might be a little bit on base for leaving his wide receiver out to get clocked, but
third down though. But
he's not accurate enough. You can't throw the ball 44 times and complete 22 passes for I think it was 4.7 yards per attempt. There were times where I thought he could have run for first down or at least run to get 5 or 6 yards and set them up in better situations. He's just, to me, it wasn't, he got pressured, but this wasn't like the Cincinnati game. He had time and maybe he's seeing ghosts and this is just the manifestation of that pressure against other teams. But there are times where he had plenty of time and he's just missing guys and his ball placement's not great. Maybe it's time to take a look at Jack Tuttle, and maybe it's time to look at Dexter Williams because they're both more mobile. They give you that threat to run as well. And they could throw. Watching Dexter Williams in warmups at Nebraska, he was, taking snaps around the 45. Yeah, there's no pads on, but he's throwing darts to the corner of the end zone from 40, 45 yards out, which is, that's almost a 50, 55 yard throw on a rope. So maybe Michigan's the game that you say, if you're going to punt it anyway, give these guys a look and see what you have for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think I don't think I'm there quite yet, and I'll tell you why. But I think I'm warm up to the idea of I think you gotta think about it. But here's why I'm not there yet. So we've seen at times that the tempo does really work. And we've seen some really good balls, including in the Nebraska game by Bazelak, a couple of back shoulder ones, that deep post to Simmons. Those are throws I don't think Tuttle makes even when he's healthy. And those are throws I have never seen Dexter Williams even try. So for me right now, I think the entire offense at this point has been based on kind of the no subbing, up tempo, kind of run and shoot style offense, or attempt to run and shoot style offense. But so I don't know. I think if you go with one of those two guys, I'm not sure, what the offense looks like. I don't trust Tuttle's legs that much, but I'm not sure what really changes in the offense that gets better unless you totally say we're going to run Dexter Williams 10 or 12 times a game, which again, I don't think that's something they've worked on at all so far because they're not doing really design runs for Bazelak at this point. So I think, 5 games in already, I think it's more of a reset or a change on offense than some people think. Obviously, I'm not at practice. I'm not in the room. I'm not a coach. I'm not going to act like I'm a coach, but I think it might be more of a scheme change than people think. But we've talked about it, and when we talked about offensive coordinator candidates and when Walpole was the choice, his ideal system has always been with
running quarterback,
kind of a running first quarterback. You know, we saw Maryland dice this up when he was there. You know, UMass, obviously, it's almost an impossible job, but even at Florida State, kind of mobile first, we'll figure out how to throw second with his quarterbacks. That's what IU started to recruit. Sorsby, the freshman on the roster, is a running quarterback, kind of like that. I'm blanking on his name, the guy from Ohio. The commit there for 2023 is very, very mobile. Lowry, yep. Yeah, Lowry's very, very athletic, very mobile. So, you know, Williams, you know, apparently flashed and looked really good in camp coming off his knee injury last season. But, you know, I'm not sure that the offense at this point is ready to kind of do essentially a 180 and commit to, you know, a more mobile quarterback running scheme, especially with this line right now. I'm not confident that you can add more stuff to the playbook. You can add traps. You can add more RPOs. I'm just not really, really comfortable with it at this point. But yeah, I mean, you know, can't make excuses. Everybody's hurt. Everybody's, you know, bad calls or whatever. But Cam Camper and Matthews being out, those were pretty huge blows for IU. And that's why I said that you can't have DJ Matthews returning punts, because he got banged up on a punt return at Cincinnati. This Saturday, and the offense looked totally different. So, you know, I said it all year. And again, I'm not a coach. I'm not going to act like I know better than anybody. I've never played football. But, you know, DJ Matthews, I said it before the season started, he's too valuable to have him return punts, because the offense is going to look totally different when he's out, just like we saw last season, and one game without DJ Matthews already, and you see the effects.
Yeah, and it's a frustrating loss, because it was right there, you know, to win. It was. You're sitting at, you know, a 3rd and 9 with, I think there's like 13 minutes left.
Yeah,
13:43.
All the momentum.
All the momentum. You're gonna get, if you stop them there, you're gonna get the ball back with decent field position. You have, you were going into the wind, so it was a pretty stiff wind. So you probably got Charles Campbell good from 45 and in. That's how stiff the wind was. But yeah, you figure you get a stop there, and IU's in great shape to go, you know, get that win, survive. I mean, that was survival. That would have been a survival win. You got Nebraska's best shot. And they kept them in the game. That opening touchdown really lit the fuse, the pump block as well. And that fan base is just looking for something to cheer. And they did. They got that on Saturday. Let's look ahead to Michigan. Go ahead.
It's tough, yeah. But, you know, before we move on, I want to talk about the defense a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, back to Nebraska, you know, I don't think they stick with Mickey Joseph. I think they end up kind of poaching a big name, not sure who, but, you know, no one really saw Brian Kelly leaving, or, you know, Riley going out to USC. But, yeah, I mean, so we'll see what happens with their head coaching situation. But that's a Nebraska team that might not win another game the rest of the season. So that was a really tough loss. And I know they had a bye week to kind of get ready for us, but, you know, that this is a team that might lose out. This is a team that gave up over 700. They gave up the most yards they've ever given up in their stadium to Georgia Southern 3 weeks before us, and we lost to them. So, you know, deflating loss. You know, I'm a big, you know, defend the program guy, and I'm always going to defend the program and root for the program. But, you know, it's the same kind of issues. You know, the easy stuff that should always be there. You know, even if it's, you know, a MAC school playing at the Big Ten, you know, the easy kind of stuff that should be there is just not easy for us right now. And it's really frustrating. But defensive side, again, I thought for the most part, really good. It's tough when you have to, you know, get off the field and then another 3 and out, especially with how quick we're running it right now. You know, it's tough for them to go in and out and be on the field so much. But I know Allen's not a big time of possession guy. I'm not a big time of possession guy. But at some point, the offense just has to put together more sustained drives, because you just can't keep throwing these guys out there with bad field position, or just, you know, constantly having them out there.
to me, it's not whatever. It's not field. It's not the time of possession. I mean, it's other. You got to get first downs, and
Yeah.
first downs. Even if you get one or two on that first drive, okay, you flip the field position,
Hmm.
and then you're playing a field position, game.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Nebraska did in the second half, and they
Hmm.
controlled it. Um, and one time I just want Donovan McCulley to throw out of that Wildcat because they're
Yeah.
going to put 11 dudes in the box, and all you need to do is the old Tim Tebow jump throw, and you're going to score a touchdown as long as somebody catches the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a great spot for AJ Barner, but whatever. Yeah, but defense, what I did like, Deshaun McCullough he was sick in the Cincinnati game, so maybe there's something going around the locker room. Maybe that's what Camper had. McCullough with another sack. Pierre had 2 sacks. James had a nice hit on the quarterback. I liked the blitzes again. They started bringing kind of vintage Allen defense blitzes from the secondary from different spots and kind of that front seven. Really good stuff. I was surprised how much Lewis Moore played, but I thought he looked good in certain situations, especially blitzing. He was kind of in on that fumble with Cam Jones in the end zone that Miles Jackson recovered for the touchdown.
He had the initial hit on that.
Yeah. So, I thought good for Lewis Moore, who we didn't even know if he was going to play receiver or DB when we signed him. He was a really, really late ad out of JUCO. So, good for him for stepping up and making some plays. But, defense again, I thought for the most part was good. But it's just you got to get this offense going, and you got to make this offense more consistent, because if you don't find something that works in the next couple weeks here, I think you're looking at another tailspin, which sucks, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but so far there's not much besides Camper on kind of those 12-yard timing back shoulder throws that's really been a consistent bright spot for IU so far on offense this year. Like the aggressiveness on defense, but yeah, I mean, the game was, the punt block where no one really blocked anybody, and then Philip Dunham, who I thought looked okay as a true freshman, gets cooked deep by Nebraska's best weapon on offense, which it just can't happen on a 3rd and 9.
Yeah, it can't, and that pump block can't happen either. I mean, they saw something in IU's punt protection and just sent the house. And you can't block everybody, but you got to block somebody.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't a good game. Too many mistakes, too many penalties. It seemed that every time IU started to get momentum on offense, there was a false start or a hold or a bogus offensive pass interference call.
Yeah.
And things like that. Or a negative play, a drop pass. It was like 1 step forward and 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward and 1 step back, however you want to look at it. The offense just you can't be boom or 100 or nothing. It can't be a touchdown or a 3 and out. There has to be stuff in the middle. You have to get first downs, and you don't need to possess the ball for 40 minutes a game, but you need to get first downs and run plays and get yards and control that field position game.
Yeah, I totally agree, but we'll have to see the status of IU's top 2 receivers heading into the Michigan game, which I'll ask you about here in a second, Sammy. I did think Henry Simmons played a nice game, so we kind of waited on him to emerge as that number 3 guy. He had a really nice game. He should have had close to 80 yards. That OPI in him was pretty crap, but he had that nice touchdown in the corner. And again, that's that kind of a throw, that back shoulder fade ball, and that drop off was gorgeous. I don't think any of the other quarterbacks on the roster can do that. So that's why kind of at this point, I think you got to ride with Basilak, but we'll see. So Sammy, Michigan's kind of been interesting this year. Their 3 non-conference games were essentially nobody, so they didn't really learn anything there. They started off by,
it should have been IU's non-conference schedule.
Yeah, but but whatever. But yeah, so Michigan doesn't really learn a lot through the first 3 weeks. They dominate as they should against who they were playing. Probably last week against Maryland, that's a game they probably feel fortunate to walk away with a win, or 2 weeks ago. probably feel fortunate they walk away with the win against the Terrapins, who look pretty good up in the big house. But when found the opening kickoff and then scored in the next play, we start off on set, I think 10 seconds into the game. So it was nice to watch that happen to somebody else for once. But I don't want to say they're gettable, because every year, I talk about, Michigan, they're just, very vanilla on offense. I think you can get them. JJ McCarthy's got a monster arm, but he's been kind of spotty accuracy wise so far this year. But I mean, they're going to run the ball down your throat. So it's a lot like the Illinois game. That first seven's going to be ready, but kind of what do you want to see against Michigan on Saturday?
What I just want to see improvement. I don't think, whatever. You could say I'm conceding the game. IU's beaten Michigan once since the 80s, twice since 1967. So it's a hard road to hoe. But I just want to see program improvement. Can you get this team organized? Can you make a play when you need a play? And things like that. It is going to take a Herculean effort for Indiana to score the upset. And it's going to take a great effort for them probably to even cover the 22-point spread. But for them, cut the mistakes, play a clean game. If you play a clean game and give yourself a shot, that's all you could ask for. But don't beat yourselves. If Michigan beats you, Michigan beats you. That's what it's happened for the last 100 years. But don't help Michigan beat you. No, stop. Cut out the penalties. Cut out the timeout before even you snap the ball for the game, and things like that. Special teams errors, just all those critical errors. Clean it up. Play a clean game, and then you can start feeling a little bit better about yourself. Going into the Maryland game. I hate that this game is homecoming. I know they've scheduled it for years, that homecoming is always this weekend, but can we for once get a homecoming game against a pushover and things like that? I really think it hurts the fan base and building a fan base to keep having. Michigan State was homecoming last year. They've played Penn State. They played Michigan before. They've Michigan State a couple times on homecoming. Nobody's there to go see Michigan or Michigan State. They're there because it's homecoming and it's the one IU football game they go to a year. Make it a win. And so I don't know who needs to hear that, but it's got to happen. That needs to change. But again, to go back to Michigan, Blake Corum's having a heck of a year. He's probably going to run himself into the Heisman race if he continues to do what he's doing. But Michigan has everything on the table to play for. They're ranked 4th in the country. They're right there with Ohio State and Penn State is probably the 3 favorites in the East. And they're not going to overlook Indiana. The last time in, they lost. They've been close. They played 2 overtime games under Jim Harbaugh in Bloomington. They're not going to take Indiana lightly. So it's going to be tough sledding for IU. I just want to see them, just play a cleaner game. Show the fans, show everybody that there's coaching going on in practice and during the week, and show people that hey, we're getting through to these guys. And after Michigan, you get Maryland, you get Rutgers, a bye week, and then you get Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Purdue. So it's about that. This is the halfway point. You've got 2 more swing games coming up after this, and then 2 swing games to end the year in Michigan State and Purdue. So everything's still on the table for IU. As doom and gloom as everybody has been over the past 48 hours, and trust me, I was there. It's take a deep breath. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State looks really gettable. Haven't loved what I've seen from Penn State. And then, Purdue's dropped a couple already. And Rutgers and Maryland are gettable too. But yeah, for me on Saturday, it's, there's going to be a ton of eyes on our game and on our program. The game's on Big Fox, on National Fox. Big noon kickoff will be there. Yep. You can absolutely bet they're going to ask Urban Meyer about, what it's like right now to be Tom Allen and, kind of speed up a little bit. They're going to ask how what's happened in Indiana, in the last 2 years after they had 2 really good years. You can absolutely, bet they're going to talk about, who's playing well, who's underperforming. So, there's going to be a lot of eyes, and, I think it's a good opportunity to kind of show that, they're still in it, and, there's a lot to play for. But, Allen, I think, is at 29 career wins right now at IU. So one more would give him 30. And then we're 2 losses away from becoming the first FBS program, 700 losses. I would like Allen to hit 30 before IU hits 700. Hopefully we hit both of those this year, or hopefully we hit, at least Allen's and went out. But, I would like to hit Allen's 30th career win before we lose 2 more in a row. But I don't know. I get fired up every year to play the big boys. We've been close, but I'm tired of being close. I'm tired of the moral victories, because you got to win. This is, Tom's fifth and a half or 6th season, whatever you want to call it. You gotta win, and you gotta take better cracks at these teams. When everyone's on the field, they have their full roster, and there's people in the seats. I know they played the games and they counted the games, but I want to win these games in the non-COVID year. So, we'll see. Hasn't really been close so far, and I hate saying every year that there's at least 2 or 3 games that you just want to, hope it goes fast and everyone stays healthy, because it sucks and it makes us feel like we're a bye game. But, until they show me something, different, it's tough to get super fired up for it. So obviously I'll be watching. I'm going to be sad I'm not down there for homecoming. It'll be the first homecoming I've missed since I graduated in 2018, which sucks. But, yeah, it's tough. So yeah, I do hope they are competitive, and I do hope they stay healthy. Those would probably be my 2 wishes for the game, besides the win, obviously. But I don't know. It's a critical month of October for kind of the state of the program. So that's pretty much all I got. But again, a lot of good stuff on Saturday. Another game I really like they probably could have come away with against the team with, I think, 6 coaches right now. But, they didn't. And it was a lot of the same. Saw it, a lot of mental errors, a lot of poor game management. And now you're 3-2, probably looking at a 3-3 swing here halfway through the season. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. That's why they play the games. Crazier things have obviously happened in college football, but it was definitely a tough game out in Lincoln for Allen and I.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You just put on a good show. You have a national TV audience. You're going to have a lot of potential recruits watching as well. And we'll see how much time Big Noon Kickoff spends on IU, but they're there. They're going to have to talk about IU as well. They're going to be in the South End Zone Plaza there as well, which I think is a cool setup.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just, you don't want to get embarrassed. You don't also want to lose guys for the year when you still have winnable games left on the schedule too. But now you're looking at Cincinnati. We talked about it, turning Cincinnati's loss into 2 more losses, and that's knocking at the door. And you just hope that they could get some momentum. You don't have to win this game, because it's not one that people, when you're checking off the road to the bowl game, check off as a win. But this is you got to get some momentum. If that means playing it close, this program needs momentum. I know we talked on Saturday night that the program has 0 momentum right now. A good showing against Michigan, maybe get that ball rolling, and heading into the Maryland game. But anyway, thanks for joining us, Alex. I know we had
I got one more note
Yeah.
here. So after we just settled the dust on Nebraska, I want to kick up some dust. I just want somebody to be pissed. I want a coach, I want a player to publicly be angry and frustrated, whether it's on the field, in a press conference, it's on Twitter, I don't care. I need somebody to be pissed. I'm pissed. I know the fan base is pissed. I just want somebody to show that. So, obviously I want to win on Saturday, but I want somebody to say that this is both, bull, and I want us to play better, and this isn't acceptable. I want somebody to be mad, and I want someone to be fired up. And I don't know. I'm done with the, lots to clean up. We're building, a lot, 2 new coordinators.
You need a Tom
Allen,
Ohio State table bang.
Yeah. I want that was great, and that kind of propelled the team to finish the season strong. I want something. I need something. I think the fans need something. The Hoosier Hysteria is on Friday, and I don't want to talk about basketball, but it should be a good season for both basketball programs. But Hoosier Hysteria is the night before the homecoming game, and they have a rapper, and they have all these 5 stars. And if no one else in the program is mad, I think apathy is going to be the worst thing. So if Saturday doesn't go how we want it to go, I think I need somebody on Sunday or Monday to be pissed. So I want some picking up the dust on Sunday, hopefully, but we'll see.
You need somebody to hit the table. If you guys don't remember, I think it was 2018 at Ohio State. Indiana was close. I think it's 45-24 was the final score, but Ohio State piled on late, and Tom Allen just went into an epic rant of he's tired of being close. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. It's we're gonna be good, but it's coming, and that's the rant. They went after that game. Yeah, they didn't make a bowl game in 2018, but then you had 2 seasons of 8-4, 6-2, and 2 January bowl games. So yeah, somebody's got to. You don't, as a fan, want to feel like you care more than the coaches and players, and I think that's where you're at, Alex. Is that you need somebody?
I know they do, and I know I don't, but I want to. Yeah. I need to see it. I know. I'm never going to stop, but I know a lot of people are and will, so I think they need to see it. So
yeah, you need an old school Lou Piniella, fired up, throw the bases, take the chains, whatever, walk off the field with the ball. Good old temper tantrum. And I think, as long as nobody gets hurt and you're not degrading people and all that stuff, that's fine. Go in there, maybe, slam a chair, I don't want somebody doing an Amari Stoudemire and punching a fire extinguisher and breaking their hand. But somebody show somebody, if that means, not hitting somebody late, but taking guys to the ground, playing to the whistle. You saw I think it was Hunter Littlejohn a couple years ago at Michigan, just, putting guys on their butts and playing with an edge. Indiana needs to find that. And maybe that's in, I know people don't like the cheerleader, Tom Allen, but somebody needs it. Maybe it doesn't have to be Tom. Maybe it's Cam Jones. Maybe it's one of these offensive linemen or a veteran on offense who said, "I'm done. We're done playing like this. Like, pick it up." So maybe we'll see that.
And you saw it after IU tied the game up. There was the clip of Allen, firing up the offense on the bench after they scored to tie the game at 7. It's good. I like it. It shouldn't have to be him. Your head coach should not have to get you fired up like that. But
you're on the.
And I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at practice. I'm not part of the team. But I think the point of it though is that publicly, I think a lot of people are going, why am I more frustrated than the guys with the jerseys or the coaches with the polos? So but looking forward to Saturday. Like always, you only get 12 of them guaranteed. So, or not even a couple years ago. So, always fun for homecoming. So I hope we beat the crap out of Michigan.
only so many Saturdays. Got to make them count.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for after the dust settled and Alex kicks it back up. We'll be at HoosierHuddle.com this week. All your pregame stuff. But a programming note: all our stuff has been pushed back 24 hours, including our roundtable. And our podcast is moving to Thursday just for this week. Thank you, 9.5-hour drive from Nebraska, but it threw off our schedule. So come back to HoosierHuddle.com. We'll have all the news and notes on IU football. Follow us on Twitter at Hoosier_Huddle. Also, don't forget to subscribe and comment and rate our YouTube channel as well. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Monday night. Alex, good luck. We'll see you. We'll talk to you tomorrow as well.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks as always, Sammy. Appreciate everybody watching and listening.